Welcome to the Animated Active Avatar Workshop. This is a very exciting one. I'm your host, MikeyAce. I'm a 3D artist, world generalist, and we got a lot of exciting things to show you today. So what's on the agenda today? All right. Well, we're going to be animating our characters and our NPCs. This is very exciting. So how are we going to do that? First, we're going to learn how to download all the necessary files, and that's going to be this avatar skeleton. That's going to be another file that's very important for you to have on your computer, and I'll show you how to install that. Next, we're going to be bringing in those avatar animations into a program called Mixamo. Mixamo is a free program that has hundreds of animations through dancing, walking, you name it, they have it. It's all free. We will walk you through how to use that, how to create these animations, and then I will walk you through bringing them into another program called Blender. What we can do in Blender is we can kind of fix some of the animations. If you want it to go a little faster, you want it to go a little slower, or let's say you brought in an animation and it wasn't looping correctly, we can fix all of that in Blender, and I can show you that. And last but not least, we have this beautiful animation we want to put in our world. So the last step is we're going to be importing into our Horizon desktop editor and having fun, bringing our worlds alive through animations. So can't wait to show you. And at the end, we're also going to be going into a world where I show you in real time how I do it with a lot of cool tips and tricks. So definitely stay till the end for that. You're going to love it. All right. So first things first, we got to download some files. Like a lot of this stuff does not come built in. And I'm sure if you went looking for it, you couldn't find it. This is where you're going to be going to look for it. So I'm going to be putting in the chat right after this exact form. So on the MetaLearn site, you're going to be going to the Creator Avatar Animations. And you're going to notice you have to download two files. Very important. You got to download the Avatar Skeleton Rig, right? And it's going to look like this. You're going to download it to your computer. It's going to be an FBX file. And the other file is going to be an fbx2anim.zip. These two are extremely important. Without these, you're not going to have animations in your world. So very important we don't skip these steps. With the zip file, what we want you to do is after you download it, you're going to unzip it, and then you have to place it in this exact folder. So what you're going to do, you can see here, I have a picture. You're going to be going to your C drive, and you're going to be putting it in the bin folder, lowercase bin. And you might say, I don't have a bin folder. Not every computer comes with one, which we found out. That's not a problem. Just go to your C drive, create a folder, and just name it bin. So once you name it bin, that's perfect. All you got to do now is take that download of the FBX2 anim and just drag it in. And you're all set. Just make sure that you extracted it first, and it looks just like this. FBX2 anim, you just drag it right into this folder. So now we downloaded these two important files. What do we do next? Well, we want to start animating, don't we? So we're going to go to the site, mixamo.com. Like I mentioned before, it's free to use. All you have to do is sign up. It's made by Adobe. So if you have an Adobe account, I'm sure you can just sign into your regular account, free to use. And this is really what you're going to be met with. So it looks like this. You have this screen, and you have all of these different animations. You have a search engine. You can search for dances. You know, if you're making a fighting game, kicks, punches, any type of animation that you want, they most likely have it. But the most important thing to do now is we have to drive it with our character. You know, there's a lot of different game engines. There's Unity, there's Unreal. They have different types of avatar skeletons that they use. Well, Horizon Worlds has our own, but luckily enough, we just did it in the last step. We downloaded that skeleton file. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit upload character right on the top right. And you're going to hit upload character. It's going to open up a menu, and you're going to import that skeleton. And it's going to look just like this. This is what our avatars look like in Horizon Worlds. So now it knows exactly what our character looks like, so it can put the right animations on the right avatar bones. So once we got that going, we can pick any of these animations, and it will go right on our character, and he'll start dancing or kicking or blocking, whichever animation that you want, it will start doing. It would also give you some options. You can actually change the arm spacing, how fast they're going, the looping. So it actually does give you a couple options, which we'll go over later. But this is an amazing program. I cannot believe it's free. I definitely recommend you guys take a look at Mixamo if you haven't already. Cool. So like I mentioned before, in Mixamo, they give you some options. So you can see here, I got the Gangnam style dance, and I can change the overdrive, usually just how fast he's going, um, the arm spacing, how far his arms are apart. Maybe they're a little bit too far out. You want them a little in. It gives you a lot of options. No coding necessary, no animation skills necessary, I must add. You just go back and forth, and it will fix it for you, and you will see it work in real time. Once you're done and you're happy with your animation, you want to download it. So you would go to the download button and this menu would pop up. So now I would recommend leaving everything at default. I've done it before, it works. So don't worry about these options. FBX binary with the skin is important to have. It won't work without the skin. Luckily, all of these options come as default. I would just hit download, and now we are ready for our next step. So usually the next step for most of us is just bring it into Horizon Worlds. Like, we're done. We're done. But you'll notice sometimes when you bring it into Horizon Worlds, it does not loop the way it was in Mixamo, or it's not moving exactly the way you want. So one little tip is maybe, hey, if you want to skip this step, try it. Go from Mixamo right to Horizon Worlds, and if it loops perfectly, you're good. But if it does not loop perfectly, this is a step you want to come back to. So what we're going to do in this step is we're going to bring that animation, we're going to import it into Blender, another free program. I'm sure you guys see a pattern here. Mixamo's free, Blender's free, Horizon World's free. Are we living in a great time or what? All of these amazing tools are free. So now we're in Blender. We're going to import this into Blender, and you're going to see we have all of these keyframes here. So you'll notice that this keyframe kind of ends around like frame 90. But my timeline, usually all timelines in Blender go to 250, you'll notice. So what you can do is you can actually hit it, put it at 90, and say you want your animation to stop on 90, so it loops perfectly. You might even want to go in here, make some changes to the bones. If you're an animator, I would say have fun with it. If you're not an animator, you might not want to mess with it. But I highly recommend watch a few animation tutorials. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. But the one thing you're probably going to want to do is make sure that it's looping correctly. So we're going to show you a little bit later in a live demo, but you're probably going to want to go right to where that last keyframe is and then type in your time, the end time frame. You want to hit 90. So it loops from 1 to 90 and there's no space at the end. And that's what we're going to do a little later. So now that we fixed all of this in Blender, we got to get it out of Blender and into Horizon Worlds. So when we export, we want to export FBX. Very important. Horizon Worlds at this current moment only reads FBX files. So we're going to go to File, Export FBX. And these are my settings that I've seen work for me. Okay, we're going to make sure that we have selected objects is checked. You want to make sure that you are selecting your animation, your character. So that is select. The other one that I've noticed that does not come as default is only deform bones. Make sure that is checked, and add leaf bones right under it is not checked. So I believe when you first go in, default wise, it's the opposite. Add leaf bones is checked and deform is not. So we want to keep the deform bones, but leave off the leaf bones. Okay, so that's the only changes we want to make, and we're going to export it out of Blender. All right, well, here's the fun part. You know, this is where we all hang out in Horizon Worlds. So you guys know how to open up Horizon Worlds, right? But have you ever opened it Horizon Worlds desktop editor as an administrator? Have you ever gone to Horizon Worlds and went run as administrator? Probably not. Probably not. But let me tell you, for this to work currently, that's the only way to have Horizon Worlds see it. So this is another extra important step for you guys to do. When you go to open up Horizon Worlds, make sure you run it as administrator. That's the key, because what's going to happen is if you don't run it as administrator, the file is going to error out and it will not upload. So we're going to go into Horizon Worlds. Before we open it, we're going to right click on the More menu and run as administrator. And we're going to agree that we want to run the program as an administrator. So now we're in Horizon Worlds. It looks exactly the same. It's just now we have the extra power ability to upload an animation. So we're going to go right to the bottom where you always go to upload your files. We're going to hit Add New, and we're going to go to Animations. All right? And then this pop-up is going to come up, and we're going to choose the file that we just downloaded from Blender, not the one from Mixamo. So the one from Mixamo was the original one that may not loop correctly. And remember, we brought it into Blender. We made all of our corrections. And now with those corrections, let's say we called it jazz dancing. That's the one that we want to bring into Blender, and we're going to hit import. So now this is where the fun happens. So now you can get really creative with it. You can write some scripts. You can say when player enters trigger, I want him to do this dance. I want him to do that. I want him to do anything that you want. I have a couple of fun examples where I'm actually going to be using some visual effects, and I'm going to time the visual effects, and I'm going to time the audio to the moves they're going to be doing. And I'll show you that in the next play test. So yeah, this is exactly how to bring it in, and what you do with it is what's going to make it unique. This is what's going to give players a lot of personality to their player and to any NPC that you place this animation on. So I'm going to show you this all in real time. This is what it's going to open once you log into your Horizon account. Creating avatar animations. It's going to give you a nice little overview. It's going to give you those 2 files that we spoke about that you definitely need. It's going to give you a nice little video walkthrough. It's also going to show you in Maya, which is another program compared to Blender, very similar to Blender. It's going to kind of give you, it's going to give you a walkthrough of like all of your options. And the cool part, if you scroll all the way back down to the bottom, it's actually going to give you some code. You know, a lot of you have told me like, hey, I'm an animator. You know, I don't code. Like, how am I going to do this? Well, do you know how to copy and paste? Because that's how simple this really makes it. All you do is just copy paste this, and then I'm going to show you how to tweak it and customize it to your liking. And again, this is very well documented. I highly recommend you guys check this one out. And they even have another script here that might do something a little different if the first one doesn't work out for you. Cool. So again, 2 things we need. We need this avatar skeleton rig, which you see I already downloaded. That's this right here. But keep in mind, at the current moment, this website's avatar skeleton rig, I must say, disclaimer, is currently not working correctly. I have another one that does work. So what I'm going to do at the end of this workshop, I'm going to give you this one. This is the one I would recommend you to use. The other one is currently a little buggy at the moment. Cool. The other thing that I'm going to mention is we have to download the FBX to Anim zip. Okay, so you're going to download it. It's going to look like a big zip file. You're going to unzip it, and you're going to place it in the C drive. You're going to see here, I'm in my C drive in a folder called bin, lowercase bin, and I'm going to place that folder right in here. All right, these 2 steps, very important. Without it, it does not work. Cool. Now we have that file, right? Next, we're going into Mixamo. Look, our character is so happy he is already dancing. Awesome. So you might not see this when you first log into Mixamo. So remember, this is mixamo.com. Make a free account or log into your Adobe account. It's free. Yours is not going to look like this yet. I already downloaded it, so I'm going to show you kind of what yours would look like. It would just look like a normal character. What you're going to do is you're going to go up here to the right where it says upload character, And that file that I'm going to be sharing with you, we're going to select it, okay? So I'm going to go to my downloads, and here's Avatar Skeleton Rig, and I'm going to bring it in. And it's going to upload it to Mixamo. This is telling Mixamo, like, this is what Horizon World's avatars look like. And sometimes you'll notice you will get an error or like that. So, all right, so we got this guy right here. I had it open on another page. So now you'll see that it loads our avatar just like this. So you can go all to any of these animations, and you can pick any animation that you want, and it will put it on your character. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download this avatar right here. And like I mentioned before, you have your format, your skin, your frames per second keyframe. What I would recommend for you guys is just keep the default settings. Just make sure that it's with skin. It will not work without the skin. Okay? Once you have these settings, just hit download, and it should go right into your download folder. We're now on the Blender screen. So now I have this avatar, and he's doing his little dance just like this. Cool. So you'll notice that usually when you go into Blender, this will be like 250. So when you bring this into Blender, it's going to say 250 frames. So you'll notice here when I hit play, the character is going to start dancing, right? And then he's just going to pause, right? And then all of a sudden, it's going to loop around. He's going to start dancing again. That's probably not what you want. Maybe it is. Maybe you want him to freeze dance at one point or another. But usually you probably want him to loop around. So one of the most probably the most common thing you're going to be doing is editing is finding that last keyframe. Awesome. So this last keyframe I've noticed is on 135. So I'm going to 135 and I'm just going to type it right here into, and you'll notice here, right at the right end right of here, it says start frame is 1. And I type the end frame is 135. So we are going from 1 all the way to 135. So if I play it in the middle, take a look at our character. It's going a little slow. I'm streaming, but you'll notice he is looping. Our dude has rhythm and he is endless. He will dance forever in this pose. Great. So what we want to do now is we want to export him out of Blender. So yeah, one little trick that I do is I hit F4, brings up this nice menu pretty quick, and I hit FBX, export. We want to export this. Remember, Horizon Worlds only will see FBX files. So we're going to hit FBX here, and we are going to save it on our desktop, and let's name it Hip Hop Edit 2 for this case. Other important things to know, we want to make sure that selected objects is selected. Remember, before we do it, we want to select our character. So you can see this green outline around him. And by selecting him, all I did was press A for selection. Again, F4 to bring up our menu, and then FBX. Cool. So again, I'm going to name it Hip Hop Edit 2. And I'm going to show you this side. This is the important side. We're going to make sure that selected objects, and I can see in the background he's green, so that means he's selected. We're going to go down to this category called armature. We're going to make sure that only deformed bones is selected. Yours may look like this. Just uncheck add leaf bones and check add only deformed bones and export. All right, we're going to export this to our desktop. All right, cool. Now we are ready to go to Horizon Worlds. You'll see I already have it opened, but I want to show you how to open this in administrator mode. Okay, one little trick that I've learned, the quickest way that I've found out, is go all the way to the top to your start. Right, this is where I have it on my right side. I'm going to go to start. I'm going to scroll all the way down on my apps until I see Worlds Desktop Editor. Okay, Worlds Desktop Editor. I'm going to see it here. I'm going to right click on it and go to more. All right, once I go to more, you're going to see run as administrator. That's how you're going to want to open it up for this to work. If you don't open it up this way, it will not work. You'll have errors saying something wrong with your animation. So please remember to run it as administrator. Cool. So I've already done that. This is already opened as administrator right here. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to my asset library on the bottom. And I'm going to go to add new and down to animation. All right, this is where we're going to find that animation that we just got out of Blender. And here it is, Hip Hop Edit 2. All right, and we're going to hit import. And let's see if it goes in. Let's see if we get any errors. And if we got an error, that may mean that I'm not in administrator mode. Let's find out. Let's find out. And look at that. We got a success. Isn't that one of the best feelings? When you know you did everything right and they give you that nice check mark. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So all right, now we got the animation in. How do we get it to be on our player? So there's a lot of different methods. The way I'm going to show you today is through a script. So when a player, let's say this, when a player enters this trigger, that's this green box right here, that's on top of this target, we want something to happen, right? And what we want to happen is we want our character to start dancing with this hip hop animation that we just downloaded. All right, so how are we going to do that? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a script on it, and I call this one loop animation. So I'm just going to go over to my scripts, and you're going to see here that we have some scripts here. Let's go over it. So the first thing we're going to show is right here. We're going to say on player enter trigger. So when a player enters the trigger, we want something to happen. And like I mentioned earlier, on those scripts that were on the Meta Learn site, you can copy and paste it. So that's kind of what I did. I copied and pasted it to say that when player enters this trigger, I want him to start animating. So this is the script right here. Player avatar animation. And what animation do we want him to do? Well, we have to use that as we have to declare it as a variable. So you'll notice on line 4, it says property definitions. And I'm going to make this as simple as possible. It's not really a coding tutorial, but this part might make it easier for you to customize your animations. So what you're going to do on line 4 with property definitions, this is where you're going to name your animation so that therefore in Horizon Worlds, you can actually drag it out of your library and into the actual variable slot. So it makes the connection because you might have 100 animations on your computer. We have to tell it which one of those hundreds are we talking about. We want to make that connection. So the best way to make that connection is to make it a variable. So what I did is I made a variable called animation, and the type of variable, it's an asset because it lives in my asset library. It could be any type of asset. In this case, it's actually an animation. So we made that connection. So now I can take this and drag it into my animation slot. So now we know every time in the script when we say animation, right? We're talking about this one only because we made this connection. They are linked. Okay, cool. So now, if you go to line 17, we're saying when player enters trigger, because remember what we wanted to do. When the player enters the trigger, we want something to happen. So now when the player enters the trigger on line 17, we want player animation to play. And which animation? This.props.animation. Props because it's a property up here, and animation because that's what I named it. So we're saying that's the animation we want you to play. And you'll see this animation comes with some arguments or some options, we'll call them. And one of the options is, do you want this animation to loop? Or do you not want it to loop? Do you want it to play once and be done? Or do you want him to dance forever? So you'll notice here in looping, I said true. I want him to dance forever. That's cool. And then you're going to notice there's another option called play rate. You might ask, what is a play rate? Well, one cool thing about Horizon Worlds is if you ever hover over any of these variables, it would actually tell you. You know, you hover over, it says looping. It will tell you exactly what it does. So looping will actually, again, loop forever or not, just play once. And play rate is actually the speed of your animation. So you ever get an animation, right? And it's just not going at, it's going too fast. Well, then put it at 0.5. It's going too slow. Maybe you want to put it at 1.5. So this is a cool way for you guys to tweak the animations. And it's pretty simple. So we're going to leave it at 1. I think the animation's going at the right speed at the moment. Cool. So I'm going to hit save. And we're going to go into here. And we're going to preview. And you're going to see he's kind of flying because we haven't gotten to that animation yet. We'll save that one for later. So please ignore the flying, the Superman. But I'm going to go here. And look at that. Our boy is dancing up a storm. So there you go. And remember, we kept looping to true. All right. So he's going to be dancing endless. So if I go back and I say, you know what? I only want him to dance just one time. So I believe our animation was what, 80 frames or something like that. And we can go back and check in Blender. And let me click on the bones. It was, let's see, 135 frames. So we have 135 frames. So if I feel like that's the correct amount of frames and that's all I want and nothing else, now I'm going to say I want looping to be false. So that's all we're going to get. So I'm going to hit play now, and he's still dancing because he is feeling the music. So now I'm going to go back onto here and let's see if he stops. Let's see. And look at that. Look at that. He did his 180 frames of dance moves and he is done. Well, let's speed up our dancing and let's let him loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to obviously put a comma here to fix that error. Just remember, anything that's in this object, you want to keep a comma right at the end. So what we did now is we're changing it to looping to true and the rate to 2. So as you can see, our dude has drank a lot of coffee and he is breaking it down. Okay. So I just want to show you that these options exist. If you get an animation from someone, or let's say you're not in charge of the art direction, and you're the scripter, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I wish he would have animated a little faster. This is, these are the controls I would definitely recommend and go to. Cool. So there's another animation that I found on Mixamo that it's almost like a character that's doing like this magic. He kind of gathers the magic up in his hand and then he throws it. And I thought that was a cool little animation that I found on Mixamo. So what I did is I wanted to have that, use that as an example where you can actually time sound effects and visual effects to the animation. So first I'm going to show you how it works, or show it to you in action, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay, so he is dancing up a storm. So let me try to reset. I may have to leave the world and come back, but you know what? Let's just see if he changes. So I'm going to go to this trigger, and you're going to see he's going to change his animation, and then it's going to be showing us a sound effect and a visual effect. So check this out. All right, so right, isn't that pretty cool? So you're going to see he's going to go down, build up this fireball, and throw it, and you're going to hear it. I'm going to show it to you again now that he's not dancing. All right, so check this out. Boom. Just like that. So now this is like a cool way to take what we already learned and add a little bit of yourself into it. Give it a little bit more personality. He goes all the way up, and you see one type of visual effect, and then he goes down, and then boom. All right. So you guys want to learn how to do that? Because I'm about to show you behind the curtains. All right. So, all right. So you remember before we had to list the actual animation, right? So let me click on this trigger for just to show you an example. This was the one we were working with before, and it has one variable slot. Remember, we dragged our variable into here, and it gave us an animation. And you'll notice with this one, there's a couple more. There's more stuff going on here. So let's see what's here. The first one is an animation, just like the other. So we have a different animation. This one's called standing, and I'm sure it says something about a magic effect. Then you'll notice there's two visual effects. One that's called smoke, one that's called build up. So we have one that's when he goes to build up this energy. I have this effect play right here. I'm going to click on it. And I think I got okay. Yeah. So let me click on the build up one and hit play. So you can see this is the effect I want him to play when he's building up that energy. So I brought that into the world. And again, if you don't know how to do that, you can go right here to build gizmos, and you can drag in your particle gizmo just like that. Yep. And then right here in the presets on the right side, whenever you click anything in Horizon Worlds on the right side, it opens up a property panel. We're going to go to our presets, and you can get any of these effects. And keep in mind, these are not all the effects you can get. You can even go in your public assets, right? And one cool thing that I like to do is just to show you this while we're on this topic is I'll hit down here. There's a filter. I usually like to filter it to meta horizon. And then I'll go here to this other filter that says all, and I'll go all the way down to where it says VFX. So this is going to show us all metas VFX. And you can see like some of these are pretty cool. And if you've never seen these before, I highly recommend you check all of these out. Like we have, realistic smoke, or, stylized cartoon smoke. Lots of cool little effects for you guys. And remember, this is an animation course. Right now, we're just teaching character animation, but a lot of these will bring your world alive. We can bring out some birds. We can bring out some leaves. We can bring out some anything that you want. I'm just going to bring out a few just to show you. Little bit can go a long way just to bring some life to your world. So right here, you'll notice this is, let's see. Okay, so the yellow ones are the ones we just dragged out. So whenever you drag one of them out from the actual public library, they don't play automatically. You have to click it, go to your settings on the properties panel, go to prefab name, and it gives you a few options. So let's do birds flocking. All right, look at that. Isn't that cool? We'll have them loop. And there they go. There they go. And again, I'm going to click on this other one, go to prefab name, and let's get some butterflies in the house. There we go. And then lastly, I'll click on this last one and get some leaves blowing. So this is a very simple way, and I'll shut off my gizmos just so you can get a better view of what's happening here. But we got some birds, we got some butterflies. I believe we have some leaves blowing in the wind somewhere. But little things like this can go a long way to bring your world alive. So definitely add some of this stuff. So with that being said, that's what I did. I added a few of those, and the ones I went with was like this magic effect, and I also did a smoke effect. So if we go back to the trigger, I added the smoke effect and the buildup effect here. All I did was just drag it in from the hierarchy and went right to here, and we're done. Cool. So we brought in two visual effects and two sound effects. And all I did, like I mentioned, is just drag it from the asset library into my scene, and then from my scene, dragged it into this property panel. Cool. So now we have all our connections listed. So anytime I talk in the script, every time we say animation, we know it's going to be that magic animation. Anytime we say smoke, we know exactly which smoke one we're talking about because we made that connection inside of Horizon Worlds. Okay, so next, when the character enters the trigger, as we remember before, all the character did in the last example is he did a little dance. Well, this one's going to be a little bit more because we have a couple of different effects we want to add to it. So what I did here is as soon as the character enters this trigger, I want to automatically play the visual effect buildup. So as soon as he enters that trigger and he starts his animation, you start to see that visual effect of the magic coming in. It's like coming in just like that. And I also thought it would be cool to have a sound effect that also played to that. So I found this wind sound effect. So you hear this shh. So you feel like this buildup happening. So as soon as he enters the trigger, that immediately happens, right? But we don't want everything to happen at once. We want things to happen over time. And currently, we don't have any way to animate it on an actual timeline, but we can code it with a time delay. And that's what I'm going to show you how I did it here. So you'll notice here from line 24 to line 33, this is called an async timeout. Basically, it's a timer. I'm setting a timer, and you'll see right at the bottom, right here, for 900 milliseconds. So almost a second. I timed it out. I felt like a second was too quick. So I went 0.9, let's say. So this is about 900 milliseconds. So remember, the first thing that happens is the player enters the trigger. He immediately starts animating, right? And then all of a sudden, he immediately gets that wind sound. He already gets that buildup. But what I'm saying now is in 0.9 of a second, I want this to happen. So when 0.9 of a second happens, we're going to be playing the smoke effect. And we're also going to be playing the smoke sound. And we're going to be stopping, you can see right here, we're going to be stopping the other sounds. So you get this whoosh and boom. So I'm doing this through a timer. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways of doing it. This was a kind of cool way to do it through code, and it's pretty simple if you follow it. So all of this stuff will be happening in 9 seconds. So after the 9 seconds, what do we want to happen? We want to make the trigger false because you don't want to, every time you step into this trigger, you don't want him to keep doing the same animation over and over and over again. So one little trick that I do is this trigger right here, you'll notice on the right side, it has enabled. That means it's active. So every time I walk into it, it's going to do something. But you may not want it to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So what I do is soon as I go into this trigger, I turn it off. I turn it off because I don't want it to re-trigger on and on and on. You ever go to those games and you just hear like a machine gun because you're in a trigger that just plays the same sound effect over and over again? So what I do is I turn that trigger off as soon as I get onto it. And you might ask yourself, like, how is it going to get turned back on? Like, why would you do that? Well, we already thought of that. We have another timer that will turn it back on in 10 seconds. So you'll see here, we have another timer right here, async.set timeout. So in 10 seconds, I'm going to turn the trigger back to true. So that means in 10 seconds, I can go back in and do that magic move again so that no one can spam it over and over again. And you're going to hear explosions going off. And again, keep in mind, these are numbers I came up with. I highly recommend you customize this any way you want. You might want it to be every 1 minute. You might want it to be every 5 seconds. I leave that up to you, but that's one little trick that I found that worked to get that to go. Cool. So I'll go here. Let's say this visual effect is all the way here. All right. And let's say you have a humongous trigger, for instance. This trigger is kind of small, so you would think I can add this visual effect right where it's going to happen. But let's say you have a humongous trigger that expands this entire platform. We don't know where to put the visual effect, right? Because if I put it here and he comes on this side, it's going to be far away. It's not going to be right in front of him. It was important in this effect that it happened right in front of the player. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get the player's positioning. So when this effect plays, I want to put this effect, no matter where it's located in the world, I want to move it right to the position of the player and exactly where I want it. Okay? So now if you look here, what I'm doing is I'm saying I want to take that visual effects position and I want to set it to the player's torso, right? And I want to get the player's torso's position. Then I want to add some numbers to it, meaning if I put it right in his stomach, he's not going to see it. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a vector 3, and on the XYZ, which is in front of him, I want to move it 1 meter or 1 unit in front of the character so he can see it right in front of him. So as soon as he walks into that trigger, he's going to see it happen 1 meter in front of him, no matter where he enters the trigger. It is going to move that visual effect right to him and only that player. Cool. So this is another cool way for you guys to make this more interactive. You can have all these special effects living in your world and you can move them to where they are needed. Awesome. So let's, again, now that we kind of see the behind the scenes again, let's just check it out and see how it works one more time. Now that we know the secrets, now let's just watch it in real time. And I hope you can hear the sound effects. All right, here we go. So, boom. And also keep in mind that smoke on the floor, I also positioned it to his feet. I forgot to mention that. So the first one, so you'll notice this first effect goes to his torso. Let me restart the world. So this first one goes to his torso, the other one goes to his feet. And again, this was a directive choice, design choice. So if you'll notice here with the smoke, I'm setting the position to the player's feet and 1 meter out so he can see it right in front of his feet, the smoke. But I wanted the other stuff to look like it's coming from his hands. So I can control the position of my effects. And again, because I can set timers, I can time it to my animation. So if my animation was going much faster, I would definitely look at making these numbers a lot faster. So this is a cool way to bring your animations alive using Mixamo and a little bit of code. So lastly, I just wanted to show you the last one. I have a flying animation. So here we go, just to show you. Remember, we can have our character dance, do some magic, and now our character is going to be Superman. So again, thank you, Mixamo, for giving us these animations for free. And again, with a little bit of creativity, you can make your characters come alive, make flying games, make magic games, make dancing games. The choice is yours. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you guys create. So thank you again, and have a nice day.